Capital Monrovia. Good morning, and that's good evening, and welcome to Blaze News Point. 45 minutes of the most compelling news about Liberia, Africa, and other parts of our one world. Today is Friday, July 4th, 2025. My name is Menso Mendy presenting this edition of the program. In the headlines, former Minister of Finance and Development Planning Samuel 12 vows to file a defamation lawsuit against talk show host Stanton Witherspoon following allegations that he misappropriated US 30 million COVID-19 emergency funds. Grand Julia County Senator Zoe Pennon appreciates Public Works Minister Ronnie Guinness for the road rehabilitation project between Tapeta and Zweju. Morovia considered data school system student union calls on the acting superintendent of MCSS, Dr. Godas Stevens, to partner up with the student union and address major challenges affecting their institution. And away from Liberia, two female tourists have been killed by a charging elephant while on safari in Zambia, according to the BBC. The voices of those making the news bulletin, the foreign development, and the passing of last posts are all packaged onto this presentation. But Aruna Kobogi will come in with the news bulletin. Good evening, Aruna.
Good evening, Mendy, and good evening, Liberians. Former Minister of Finance and Development Planning Samuel Twe has vowed to file a defamation lawsuit against talk show host Stanton Waterspoon following allegations that he misappropriated 30 million United States dollars in COVID-19 emergency funds. Twice's remark came in growing public scrutiny over his role in a broader corruption probe involving more than 1,500,000,000 United States dollars in allegedly unauthorized financial transfer. Addressing reporters on Friday at the Coalition for Democratic Change headquarters in Congo Town, Twe categorically condemned the claims, labeling them as malicious misinformation aimed at tarnishing his reputation and misleading the Liberian public. Meanwhile, Twe revealed how the 30 million United States dollars in COVID-19 emergency funds was spent in the institution that received the money, noting that he did not misappropriate any funds under his leadership as Minister of Finance. The Moreover Consolidated School System Student Union is calling on the acting superintendent of MCSS, Dr. Augustine Stephen, to partner with the students' union of the institution and address major challenges affecting the school. Speaking to journalists at the school campus in Monrovia on Friday, July 4, the president of the union, Sekou Seyon, urged the leadership to forge a productive partnership, noting that the students' union's arms are open to work for the betterment of the institution. Sekou added that the union is hopeful that Dr. Augustine Stephen will continue the reform that will uplift the institution and make education a major priority for the students. The president of the Morovia Consolidated School System Student Union, Sekou Sayon, is meanwhile calling on the Joseph Walker administration to conduct an impartial investigation concerning the MCSS former head James Momoa. The president of the Yana Boys Association of Liberia is urging young people across to refrain from engaging in plain July 17 protests and pursue constructive dialogue with the government on issues affecting them. Stand and other civil society organizations have announced a nationwide mass protest for July 17, 2025, declaring it as the Day of the People in response to what the group calls Liberia's deepening crisis of corruption, economic collapse, and government failure under the rally cry, "Enough is enough." However, according to the association president Emmanuel Kapakoli, constant protests can scare away investors whom he said are essential to job creation and infrastructure development, especially in the transportation sector which many young people depend on. Meanwhile, the president of the Yana Boys Association of Liberia is calling on the Liberian government to strictly investigate and prosecute recently suspended officials, describing President Joseph Boakar's decision to suspend them as a positive step in the fight against corruption. Kapakwali commended the president's actions but urged him to go further by mandating the Ministry of Justice and the Liberian Anti-Corruption Commission to carry out a prompt and transparent investigation followed by prosecution where necessary. The president of the Fula Business Association in Liberia, Mohamed Bari, is calling on the management of the National Port Authority to reduce tariffs on goods and services for business people doing business with the airport. Speaking Friday, July 4th on the OK Morning Rush, Majal Bari emphasized that though the issue of electricity has been resolved at the institution, there is a need for a tariffs to be reduced, something he said will help with the smooth release of goods at the NPA. He also indicated that Fula Business Association is planning to conduct stakeholders engagement meeting with the Ministry of Commerce and other higher institutions regarding the high tariff affecting business people in the country. Maja Bari has announced that the Fula Business Association in Liberia will take immediate action against the National Port Authority if they fail to address concerns raised by the association. Grand Jide Kante Senator Zoe Pennu has expressed his appreciation to the Public Works Minister Roland Giddins for the road rehabilitation project between Tapeta and Zredu. During a brief meeting in Monrovia on Friday, Senator Pennu commended Minister Giddins for his efforts, noting that the people of Grand Jide Kante have been greatly affected by the poor road conditions in 2023. The senator stated that for the first time in Liberia's history, citizens of Grand Jide Kante can now make the journey from Zredu to Monrovia in just 7 hours without difficulty. He urged Minister Giddins to ignore politics and continue prioritizing the needs of the Liberian people. In response, Minister Giddins reaffirms government commitment to working in the interest of the Liberian people and promoting the development of the country. He emphasized the importance of putting politics aside and focusing on the needs and well-being of the people. And away from home, two female tourists, including a British pensioner, have been killed by a charging elephant while on Sarifa in Zimbabwe, police have told the BBC. Eston Taylor, 68, from the UK and 67-year-old Alison Taylor from New Zealand were attacked by a female elephant that was with a calf at the South Lungana National Park, said local police chief Robert Miomba. The two tourists were trampled to death by the noisy elephant after effort by tour guides to stop it by firing shot foul. Both women died at the scene, he said. The British foreign officer said it was supporting the family of a British woman who had died in Zambia and was liaising with local authorities. Blaze News.
Arunan Kobogi with the news bulletin. The foreign development is indeed a regular feature on Blaze News. For news fast, factual, and always up to date, you are just in tune to Newspoint. 45 minutes of the most compelling news about Liberia, Africa, and other parts of our one world. These are stories topping the headlines. Former Minister of Finance and Development Planning Samuel Twe vows to file a defamation lawsuit against talk show host Stanton Waterspoon following allegations that he misappropriated US 30 million COVID-19 emergency funds. Grand Jide County Senator Zoe Pennon appreciates Public Works Minister Roland Giddins for the road rehabilitation project between Tapeta and Zredu. Monrovia Consolidated School System Student Union calls on the acting superintendent of the MCSS, Dr. Ogorin Stevens, to partner with the student union and address major challenges affecting the institution. In a way from Liberia, two female tourists have been killed by a charging elephant while on safari in Zambia, according to the BBC. The voices of those making the news and the passing of last posts are still ahead on this presentation. But this break, we'll be right back. Welcome back to Blaze News Point. We don't take our first development. Former Minister of Finance and Development Planning Samuel Twe has vowed to file a defamation lawsuit against talk show host Chinton Witherspoon following allegations that he misappropriated US 30 million and that's intended for COVID-19 emergency funds. Twe remark comes amid growing public scrutiny over his role in a broader corruption pump involving more than 1 billion Liberian dollar and US 500,000 in the allegedly unauthorized financial transfer. Addressing reporters on Friday at the Coalition for Democratic Change headquarters in Congo Town, Twer categorically denied the claims, labeling them as malicious misinformation aimed at tarnishing his reputation and misleading the Liberian public. We wonder. Well, we sincerely apologize. We cannot bring you that episode. Let's see if we can take this development. Grand County Senator Zoe Pennon has expressed his appreciation to Public Works Minister Rodan Guinness for the road rehabilitation project between Tapeta and Zweju. During the brief meeting in Monrovia on Friday, Senator Pennon commended Minister Guinness for his effort, noting that the people of Grand County have been greatly affected by the poor road conditions in 2023. The senator stated that for the first time in Liberia history, citizens of Grand County can now make the journey from Zweju to Monrovia in just 7 hours without difficulty. Well, we sincerely apologize for that technical break. We don't take this development. Former Minister of Finance and Development Planning Samuel Twe has vowed to file a defamation lawsuit against talk show host Stanton Witherspoon following allegations that he misappropriated US 30 million in COVID-19 emergency funds. Twe remark come amid growing public scrutiny over his role in a broader corruption pump involving more than 1 billion Liberian dollars in US 500,000 in the allegedly unauthorized financial transfer. Addressing reporters on Friday at the Coalition for Democratic Change headquarters in Congo Town, Tue denied the claims, labeling them as malicious misinformation aimed at tarnishing his reputation and misleading the Liberian public.
In the crosshairs of these machinations, we'll fight back with every means at our disposal, intellectually, politically, and of course, legally. This will not be and should not be how we conduct our politics. We cannot fight corruption by lying on innocent people. Those who have determined to sustain this culture of lies and dishonesty in our politics must be fiercely resisted and fought so that we arrive at a more honest national discourse and will focus on the serious issues affecting our people. The Witherspoon has used a spoon network to malign my person and spew out misinformation concerning me for more than 4 years while I was Minister of Finance. Even out of power, he continues to pursue me. Although Mr. Witherspoon faces several lawsuits for libel, he does not seem deterred in maligning innocent people, aiming to destroy their reputation. In the last 6 years, I've treated these machinations as coming with a political territory, offering public clarifications or denunciations. I have always believed a public official should be willing to withstand public scrutiny. But malicious attempts to demean and damage the reputation of an individual is a far cry from public scrutiny. Clearly, these lawsuits have evidently not deterred Mr. Witherspoon and those of his ilk. Today, I'm exposing the conspiracy by Mr. Witherspoon and others to get Samuel Tue involved in some fake, false 30 million COVID-19 scandal, for which Mr. Witherspoon said on his network on last Thursday, June 26, 2029, that, quote, I will be arrested. Samuel Tue will be arrested by government. I have here the video footage of Mr. Witherspoon's comments and will play it before taking questions. More than 100,000 Liberians must have heard this malicious garbage. Several persons have since called me to ascertain the veracity of his injurious rant against my person. And since people are actually having conversations about, quote unquote, my pending arrest, with some urging me to change my sleeping location. All of this for something, not only that I really don't know, but no wrong I have committed. Let it be clear that if the government is investigating the COVID-19 World Food Program food distribution, it is the World Food Program that will be under investigation and not former Minister Samuel D. Tue Jr. I believe publicly demonstrating the abject falsity and bogosity of these Witherspoon-inspired rumors concerning a supposedly 30 million COVID scandal, the public will appreciate the extent and scope of the conspiracy against me and they begin to ask why am I the target. Those of us who have been.
Meanwhile, Tue revealed how the 30 million in COVID-19 emergency fund was spent, noting that he did not misappropriate any funds under his leadership as finance minister.
In 2020, the government of Liberia, through the national legislature, worked with the International Monetary Fund to secure 25 million loan to support what was called the COVID-19 Household Food Support Program. This program was about giving food to Liberian households during COVID-19. As part of the arrangement, the government and the IMF agreed that the money should be deposited directly into the bank account of the World Food Program, which, according to the government and the IMF, have the best expertise and experience to distribute food on a global and national scale. I was very happy with this arrangement because it meant no Liberian government institution would be accounting for the 25 million. I was happy that another 25 million naira would be avoided. Don't do the 25 million But as we all can see now, my happiness was futile and shortly because I am today here talking about 25 million that was directly deposited and spent by the World Food Program. Long story short, the Ministry of Finance, under my leadership, received 25 million from the IMF through the government revenue account and transferred this sum in its entirety to the bank account of the World Food Program. I don't think that money stayed a full day at the Ministry of Finance when it came. It was transferred immediately. Also, the World Food Program received $5 million from the World Bank to the Smallholders Agriculture Transformation Agribusiness Revitalization Project, STARPI. This $5 million was released directly by the World Bank as monies for donor partners such as the World Bank do not go to the government revenue account. Based on the final report of the project, which I will show you a copy of that, the World Food Program received a total of 30 million from two different sources: the Ministry of Finance, under my leadership, and the World Bank and the Ministry of Agriculture. In July of 2022, the World Food Program reported that it spent 23.838 million and had a balance of 1.17 million to transfer back to the government through the MFDP. The World Food similarly had the amount of 857,000, these are US dollars, to be returned to the World Bank directly. In total, they had a little over $2 million of unspent COVID-19 food distribution money. So in other words, they probably spent a little less than $28 million. Up to the time the CDC administration left office, the World Food Program had not returned this money.
That's the voice of former Minister of Finance and Development Planning Samuel Toure vowing to file a defamation lawsuit against talk show host Stanton Witherspoon following allegations that he misappropriated US 30 million in COVID-19 emergency funds. To this development, Grand Julia County Senator Joe Pennon has expressed his appreciation to Public Works Minister Roden Guinness for the road rehabilitation project between Tapeta and Zwedju. During the brief meeting of Monrovia on Friday, Senator Pennon commended Minister Guinness for his effort, noting that the people of Grand Julia County have been greatly affected by the poor road condition in 2023. The Nigeria County can now make the journey from Zwedju to Monrovia in just 7 hours without.
People of Grand Julia County, please don't listen to politics. Continue to do what you're able to do for the people. Honorable Minister, I can remember July 16, 2024. I took the airway to tell the Liberian people, first time in history in July, for the people of Grand Julia County fly on the road from Grand Julia to Monrovia to take us 7 hours. And this year again, this July, yes, I 1 year, 2023, back was suffer. People of Grand Julia County, they suffer from Grand Julia to Monrovia, more especially between Tapeta and Toaster. Honorable Minister, the method that you use today, the legislators from Grand Julia on the road, you just wait to one another. No more your constituents will insult you on the road to say you are not doing nothing for us. So if Senior Senator of the county, if I don't come to you to appreciate my brother, and I'll be doing well for my people. I just came on Zwedju on the 1st of July. First time in history from 2024 July to present, like the highway state highway. We should also commend you and your staff, most especially the Deputy Minister for Technical Services, and yourself, Honorable Minister. If you guys are here to joke today, our people still will be sorting us in the mud. Within July, unbelievable. When one of my cousins called me, he was coming for the funeral. He said, look, I want to be in Zwedju on Friday for the reburial of the dead person Samuel Do. I said, when will you be arriving? He said, Thursday evening. I said, yes, you'll meet the funeral home and you'll be at the graveside. He said, how? I assured my cousin that the road is heavy and the guy landed in the morning hour, in the evening hour by around 9 p.m. By 3 a.m., 4 a.m. Friday morning he was in Zwedju. That alone showed to the public, to the entire world, that this government is not a joke. I stayed in the government for the past, in Liberia government for the past 19 years. But within that 19 years, in 2 years, that's when I enjoyed the road from Grand Julia to Monrovia. That's why we never voted this government.
In response, Minister Guinness reaffirmed government commitment to working in the interests of the Liberian people and promoting the development of the country. He emphasized the importance of putting politics aside and focusing on the needs and well-being of the people.
When the president launched the 100 days, intent was every year there's rain, there's dry season. Right. So why don't we work during the dry to prepare for the rains? Right. So our people can continue to, face difficulty when it comes to travel across the country, and not just in that corridor. Now you can go up to Wanchama, you go up to Foya, you go up to Broadview, now you can go to Greenville. Somebody came from Greenville the other day and told me that it took less than 4 hours, almost just about 4 hours from Greenville to Ghana City. Right. So I tell you the level of work that we've done. So when we initiated the 100 days to say, let's make sure the primary corridors apply, we meant it. It was not a joke. And it was an inspirational thing by the president. We have to make it to happen as a mission. And wonderfully, I have a very good team here at the Ministry of Public Works. Most time when the good news out there, the minister picture will be there, but we have a team of engineers that we work with in our team. They've been very wonderful, very supportive of the work that we're doing. And we are also passionate about, just giving relief to our people. I believe in that. I feel our people deserve better. This country is old. Many years, to allow our people to still struggle as much as we don't have all the resources to pave the road, we still make the road line. That's what the president comes out about the maintenance zone. Still go ahead. We're finalizing the issue of the equipment purchase and supply. So we set up these zones because there are other major roads that may be secondary, right, may not be primary. Right. But they're very important road that connects, the agriculture belt and some of our social services, also schools, hospitals, and all of that. So we also want to be able to make them accessible. And that's what we do. But like I said, and like we stated, by dry season, this dry season, we start paving the road from Tapeta. Which is very two contractors will be in Accra. I can assure you that will happen. And I always emphasize that by 2029, 2030, we may not have any situation. So we will be driving from Monrovia to Maryland County on paper. And that's something I'm committed to. That's something the president is committed to.
That's the voice of Public Works Minister Roden Guinness reaffirming government commitment to working in the interest of the Liberian people and promoting the development of the country. Earlier on, you listened to Grand Jida County Senator Zoe Pennon expressing his appreciation to Public Works Minister Roden Guinness for the rural rehabilitation project between Tapeta and Zizweju. The Morovia Considered Data School System Student Union is calling on the acting superintendent of the MCSS, Dr. Ogorit Stevens, to partner with the student union of the institution and address major challenges affecting the school. Speaking to journalists at the school campus in Morovia on Friday, July 4, 2025, the president of the union, Sekou Sion, urged the leadership to forge a productive partnership, noting that the union arms are open to work for the betterment of the institution.
Ambassador to acting Superintendent Stevens. Madam Stevens partner with the Students' Union, place students before politics, continue reform that uplift learners, reject the rumors, distraction, and self-serving agendas. We urge Ms. Stevens to forge a productive partnership with the students' leadership in the greater interest of the students who academic success remain the ultimate priority. The union stands ready to engage, collaborate, and constructively work with the new leadership to address the numerous challenges facing our students. Failure to serve the students, and you will face peaceful but firm resistance. While students always protest within MCSS, our protests are driven by one, dangerous polarizing school building, unpaid teachers and abandoned classrooms, outdated materials, no computers, no labs, broken premises, and neglected student boards. As Dr. Frederick once declared, power concedes nothing without a demand. It never did, it will never will.
The president of the Morovia Considered Data School System Student Union, Sekou Sion, is meanwhile calling on the Joseph Boycott administration to conduct an impartial investigation concerning the MCSS former head James Momo.
A direct appeal to President Bwaka. Mr. President, the future of Liberia depends on education. Your leadership is being tested. One, fulfill your promise to prioritize public schools. Ensure that memorandum of understanding between MCSS and the government be implemented. Invest in our schools, teachers, and learning environment. Listen to your grandchildren cries before frustration turns to national outrage. The world is watching. The students are waiting. The time is running out. Final declaration, United Students for Justice. We, the students of MCSS, the Morovia Consolidated School System, declare we demand justice for Superintendent Momo based on truth. We demand urgent action to face MCSS schools. We demand a depoliticized, fair investigation by LACC. We demand leadership that prioritizes students. We demand an end to political games that harm our education and our system. Failure to act will unleash a united, determined young movement. We will defend our future with every peaceful means available.
That's the voice of Sekou Sion, the president of the Morovia Considered Data School System Student Union, calling on the acting superintendent of the MCSS, Dr. Ogorit Stevens, to partner with the student union of the institution and address major challenges affecting the school. Today's development, the president of the Yana Boys Association of Liberia is urging young people across Liberia to refrain from engaging in planned July 17 protests and pursue constructive dialogue with the government on issues affecting them. STAN and other civil society organizations have announced a nationwide protest on July 17, 2025, declaring it as a Day of the People in response to what the group calls Liberia's deepening crisis of corruption, economic collapse, and government failure on the relying cried enough is enough. However, according to the association president Emmanuel Kabakoli, constant protests can stay away investors, whom he said are essential to job creation and infrastructure development, especially in the transportation sector, which many young people depend on. It seems like we can have our hand on that. Let's take this development. The president of the Fuller Business Association of Liberia, Mohammed Bari, is calling on the management of the National Port Authority to reduce tariffs on goods and services for business people doing business with the MPA. Speaking Friday, Judah Ford on the OK Morning Watch, Manjad Bari emphasized that though the issue of electricity has been resolved at the institution, there is a need for tariffs to be reduced, something he said will help with the smooth release of goods at the MPA. Maja Barid has announced that the Food and Business Association in Liberia will take immediate action against the NPA if they fail to address concern raised by the association.
I even make a strong statement and threaten the National Port Authority if they cannot operate 24 hours. We're going to make sure that we're going to shut down the entire port. I think the country in the world, most especially in the sub-region that used to operate the port of 8 hours or 6 hours or 9 hours.
Okay.
So today we have 24 hours now. So, we are very grateful for the fact of the matter. The challenges that used to be at the ports, it will reduce drastically, and there will be a somehow reducing of storage and demurrage will be cutting down. But other challenges are there. In the line of what the vice president spoke about, these are things that he and myself discussed about it thoroughly, and which could have some that come from the business background. It make it very clear that although we have decided to operate 24 hours, but the fees is very, very high. They have to bring the fees down. I have a spreadsheet that I will share with you, when I get to my office, to tell you that when you do the spreading of the sheet, LRA Care, the highest burden of managing that port, the tariff, the cost that will be is very, very high compared to any country around the world. So we call on the vice president, we call on the president, so making sure that they have to revisit those tariffs, because we don't want for our people for the fact of the matter, if you bring your onion in the country, taking a couple of days at the port there, before you even get the onion out, most of it, half of the onion are already been destroyed, spoiled, and other, affecting community. The statement it might be a general statement.
Okay.
We take the statement very seriously. We take the statement very strongly for the fact of the matter. That's the reason we always call on the government that should be a constant business stakeholder engagement meeting.
Okay.
I spoke about this thing lengthily. The only entity that decided to call off for a stakeholder business engagement was the LRA. Only one time when Double Jala took over. We would like to have a business stakeholder engagement meeting with the National Port Authority, engaging with we as a port user, as a stakeholder, as a business community. We'd like to have a stakeholder engagement meeting with the Minister of Commerce, to tell the Minister of Commerce the type of challenges and difficulties that the business people are facing, because you are the proper representation, represent the office of the president.
Okay.
You are the eyes of the president. We'll call on the LRA to have a constant, as they have promised us, after every 3 months.
That's the voice of the president of the Food and Business Association in Liberia, Mohammed Bari, calling on the management of the National Port Authority to reduce tariff on goods and services for business people doing business with the National Port Authority. To this development now, the president of the Yana Boys Association of Liberia is urging young people across Liberia to refrain from engaging in the planned July 17 protests and pursue constructive dialogue with the government on issues affecting them. STAN and other civil society organizations have announced a nationwide mass protest for July 17, 2025, declaring it as a day of the people in response to what the group calls Liberia's deepening crisis of corruption, economic collapse, and government failure on the rallying crowd. Enough is enough. However, according to the association president, Emmanuel Kabakori, constant protests can steer away investors whom he said are essential to job creation and infrastructure development, especially in the transportation sector, which many young people depend on.
We, the Yana boys, Republic of Liberia, are staying by my wall. You're not going to see any other. They will have their people, they don't know where they're going to take them from. But I can tell you the Yana boy will not be part of any protest that will cause chaos for our country. My brother, it's good to eat dry bread in peace than to eat salad in fear. If you see the Yana boy not being part of anything, part of any demonstration, today you don't see the Yana boy running here and there to disturb. Because what we wanted, we getting it. Look, my brother, everybody can be equal. What we want is peace. And if you look at President Boga government, I say thank you to him. Although that all is not well, but let give him the time, let him do his work. Today, Liberia is taking a new path is because we have a good president. And I'm calling all of the Yanabo, I'm speaking a Yanabo president. No Yanabo will be part of this coming protest. It's a message I'm sending out there. And I stand by my word because when you get there, anything happen to you, call upon me for help. Leadership will not buy people doing the wrong thing. We want the right thing for our country. This is why the past regime, you don't see Yanabo have any protest. We will not tolerate something that will cause problems for our country.
The president of the Yana Boys Association of Liberia is calling on the Liberian government to swiftly investigate and prosecute recently suspended officials, describing President Joseph Boakar's decision to suspend them as a positive step in the fight against corruption.
I want to tell the president thank you. Once the president is taking action on it, you find out that the Liberians are happy. There are a lot of people saying, oh, the paper was sleeping, but now the paper will come. So I don't know what to say, but I think actions like this, once they are being taken, I think these people need to go to court and go through trial. Yes. That we all build around the president to make our country a better place. The president need to do more. There are a lot of corrupt calling for more. You listen to the radio every now and then, people showing facts on government officials. So the president need to go beyond that. The president need to lay a hand on them. This is why the Liberian people voted the president for. The young people of the country standing with the president. That's why the young people say bravo to the president. Today you see people calling here and there saying they're giving jobs. Why are they fooling people for? Look, this country is our country. We love this country. Do not play fool other people. Don't play fool other people. Do you know why the Liberian people love Ambassador Boka? He made way for war. When he said this, he will do it. This is why we pray for him day and night. We pray for him so God can give him long life so he can do what he's supposed to do for this country. As you can see for yourself, all is not well. But what we see is happening gradually. Honor him. So it's better we eat our dry bread in peace than we eat salad in fear. I want to tell.
Well, fellow listeners, on that note, that's how we love to come to an end of this edition of Blaze News Point. But just before we go to recap of the major stories. Former Minister of Finance and Development Planning Samuel Tuwe vows to file a defamation lawsuit against talk show host Stanton Witherspoon following allegations that he misappropriated U.S. $30 million COVID-19 emergency funds. Grand Judea County Senator Joe Pennon appreciates Public Works Minister Roden Guinness for the rural rehabilitation project between Tapeta and Zweju. Morovia Consolidated School System Student Union calls on the acting superintendent of the MCSS, Dr. Oguran Stevens, to partner with the student union and address major challenges affecting the institution. And away from Liberia, 2 female tourists have been killed by charging elephant while on safari in Zambia, according to the BBC. We say many thanks to our news director, reporter, editor, and correspondent for making this edition of Blaze Newspoint a success. Arunan Kobogi brought you the news bulletin and foreign development. Das Clifton Renning and Conan Rufus Sarah control and coordinated the technical aspect of today's presentation. On behalf of the News and Current Affairs Department of Blaze Communications Network Incorporated, my name is Menso Mendy. I presented Blaze News Point returned on Monday at 7 a.m. Goodbye and have a pleasant day.